Well, it's Monday, and I know it's the most boring day because it starts out the week. It doesn't want you to do anything. But, however, here in DWZ, we intend to keep our Mondays fun and exciting for all of you. So, as I mentioned in the last episode, today's episode is all about the Japanese wrestling. So, if you are fans of that, this is the episode for you. So, today we're going to be reviewing SEAdLINNNG's much recent event from November 17th, the Shinkiba Series Volume 6, featuring the main event, Suri, or better known as Saray, as our current Beyond the Sea champion, teaming up with the former champion she defeated, Arisa Nakajima, taking on Ayame Suzumura and of Noriko Kaiju, and of course Lady Destroyer Hiroyo Matsumoto. And then we move on with, of course, two back-to-back with Stardom. One with Sayama that took place on the 25th of November, and the other is Koriyama on the 26th. And then finally, we move on with, of course, day 6 of New Japan Pro Wrestling with more of Tag League B block only matches. So we will be focusing all of that. And then, of course, we cap it up with some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, any wrestlers that either been departing or signed by any promotion. We even have injured wrestlers, the whole enchilada. So let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of reviews from various wrestling promotions, not only here in the States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, uh, promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. But also, if we don't do any news updates on this episode, we'll do it by itself. Or if there's something I couldn't do on this episode, I can do it at another time. And of course, we also have some other cool stuff. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. Click on that subscribe button. You've been getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool stuff on this channel. But also, if you like this episode, please give us a like on a like button or a nice comment down below. Now, as I said before, this is all about the Japanese wrestling, so let's get started with our very first one. This is from the Joshi promotion SEAdLINNNG, and this is the Shinkiba Series Volume 6 that took place on the 17th of November. Now, this is the much recent one, and the last one they did for now, until the next one is announced. So they've been doing this whole lot of series down in Shinkiba, and of course we have a bit of the founders or the star talent being there. We have Riko Kaiju, Arisa Nakajima, and Natsuki Taiyo giving and addressing the fans as always. Now, our first match is a high speed match. Now, those who don't know, they normally do these high speed matches. Now, if you guys aren't familiarized with that, think of Mei Suruga and Azumi's match, but without the title. So basically, the entirety of the match is all high speed, but it does have a fast count, like 1, 2, 3. You have to have a much faster count. So it's all about the speed itself. In today's match, we have um, La Ka Kedida taking on Ayumi Sazamura. Now, I wasn't too sure how to think about this because I know Sazamura is a high speedster. I've seen her many times. I don't know about Kadika, Kedika, Kedida, because I never seen her that much in high speed. But it was a very interesting one until Suzumura applied a Kumo roll and 1, 2, 3. It was over. A huge disappointing loss by Kedida, but however, someone kind of had a little chit chat with her right in the match. I don't know if it's Hidaka, I think that's his name, but we'll see what happens down the line with them. Our next match, we have a bit of a GTO versus SEAdLINNG or whatever, or GTO versus the freelancers. If you guess, we have Aru- Arusa Inaba, Tomoka's little sister, and Izoka. They take on Miyuki Takase and Aneke Ryu Mizunami. Now, of course, there's going to be some implications on this where we see Inaba apply her karate skills into the test. But you look at, of course, Takase and Mizumori, they have much better experience than both Inaba and Izoka. So that's something you probably can consider a factor in this. And it did play out pretty well until Mizunami speared Izoka. 1, 2, 3. It is over. Now, our next match is a three-way match. We have Veni, formerly known as Asuka, taking on Maya Yukihi and Makoto. Now, this was a very interesting matchup. Now, I know that Veni and Makoto, they're part of a faction in SEAdLINNG known as the La Fresca de Egoistas. I think that's the name. So it would have been a 2-on-1 type of scenario in a three-way match. Now, I know some of you will say, J Rod, there is no friends in these matches. Well, it could, unless it's just the two of you at the end. But Mayuhiki, who I've seen many times, she can hold her own. But she pulled off a very impressive win. What she did is she put Makoto on the ground until Veni applied like a sort of like a roundhouse kick or something right into the face, knocking her out, and then she put her in a submission while she's on top of Makoto. So basically, Maya had Veni in his submission while she was on top of Makoto. 1, 2, 3 is over, and of course Makoto was like a bit protesting, like this doesn't count like that, but it did. The referee called it as it is. That even though she was the one got pinned, so her arms were deeply down, her shoulders were deeply down, even though she was so disappointed about the loss. She completely almost lost her mind on that. But yes, so that's what really happened. Now, our main event, we have another tag team. We have Hiroyo Matsumoto and Riko Kaiju. They take on Arisa Nakajima and Suri. Now, I haven't been seeing much of SEAdLINNG that much often, but however, this is what I can tell you. Those who know this or not, Suri is in fact, or should I say, Suri is the current Beyond the Sea champion. Basically, that's the top title of the promotion. She won that belt by defeating her current tag partner right now, Arisa Nakajima. Now, Nakajima and Arisa and Suri seems like they're not getting along. There was clips where they had to go to Disneyland and all that. Try to get along. They're trying to put them on the same team, despite the Nakajima lost the belt to her. So that kind of put it in a very perspective. So they seems like they were getting along great, but the obvious question is, can they really get coexist in the ring, despite the fact that you got, of course, the current champion and of course the previous champion. That's also what plays out, but it did show a lot of cohesive between both Nakajima and Suri, but it was successfully when Suri applied a suplex on Toriko Kaiju to pick up the win. Now here's where things got interesting. Now, of course, SEAdLINNG does not have any translators or any subtitles like they do in Stardom. However, Suri has another thing that happened. Now, those who know this or not, Riko Kaiju is one half of the Beyond the Sea Tag Team Champions, along with Ayame Sazamura. So by default, she could challenge for the tag titles. So it's more like she could challenge it, and I'm sure Arisa Nakajima probably likes the idea, knowing that, yes, I mean, sure, Suri has the belt, the top belt in her shoulder, but why not go for the tag titles? So it seems like Riko Kaiju and Sazamura are interested of having this match. Now, I don't know when will that happen. but I'm sure it can happen. I wouldn't be surprised if they won those belts by the end of this year. So that's something we could definitely expect down the line. And I think that's pretty much it for SEAdLINNG. So I believe it's time to move on with Stardom, and I think we're doing the show in Sayama. Okay, now let's jump in with Stardom, and this is from their show in Sayama back on the 25th of November. Now, as you all know, there's been a lot of absentees with wrestlers being injured, that sort of thing. So, let's begin with that. Um, our first match is, of course, is the new girl, Yuzuki, taking on um, I think it's Ami Sori. Yes, Ami Sori. You probably can guess that this is a bit of the part where Ami wins because she uses a lot of her strength. But of course, like any other newbie, when we've seen in New Japan, where of course the young lions, when they get defeated, they lose to their mentors with the Boston Crab, and you look at that with Ami Sori doing the same thing with Yuzuki and picked up the win. However, unfortunately, because of this, there was a slight change of the match. Apparently, Ami Sodi had to pull a a double for this particular day. I don't remember who was supposed to be in this match, but it was supposed to be someone with versus Hanako. Because of that, it Ami had to pull up a double. But Hanako immediately showed up and immediately jumped onto Amisori to attack her. Now, it's a smart move from Hanako's part, knowing that Amisori's already worn out from her first match and all that. But knowing Amisori, she wasn't going to give up because, as you know, she's currently motivated to win the red belt. That is the primary motivation that I see in her. But however, she put her away with like a thunderbolt. 1, 2, 3. She has two and 0 for that particular day. Now, our next match, we have Queen's Quest consistent of Mayu Amasaki and Hina. They take on the members of Stars, more specifically Wingori, consistent of Saya Ida and Hana. Now, this is another interesting part. As you know, Hana and Hina are sisters. Hana is the oldest. Hanan is the oldest, and Hina is the youngest. Well, Rina and Hina are both twins. So I thought it was very interesting that they're opposites to each other. But I had that distinct feeling, not only because as a fan, but there's moments where when I see those two together, sometimes the match could end in their side. And of course, that's exactly what happened. So basically, it was, of course, the Hanan special on Tahina to pick up the win. I thought it was a very interesting thing that ended that way. I mean, if Hina would have pinned either Saya Ida or Hanan, they would have gotten an opportunity for the new blood tag team titles that both Hanan and Saya Ida has. So we'll see where it leads us from here on out for them in the future. Next up, we have Ruka taking on the Scandinavian Hurricane. Now, people say that having her as part of the roster for the time being is genius because, as you know, the roster has been shortened because of the situation with wrestlers being injured in Stardom, that sort of thing. But of course, I figured that this match was going to go with it was Scandinavian Hurricane when she applied the right high kick. It was over right from there. I would have assumed that either Oedo Tai would attack her, but I think they're too scared that she's too dangerous. Now, our next match, we have Yuna Mizumori teaming up with Mega Bane, which is a very interesting pair. As you know, Yuna Mizumori has been going at it alone for quite some time, even though she still represents Cosmic Angels, while Tam Nakano is recuperating from her knee injury. So is Natsupo, and of course, Ayanoi, who's not a full time member of the roster, but goes back and forth. But they face against the members of God's Eye, consistent of Suri and Mirai. But I can tell by in this match, I like how Yuna Mizumori has shown a bit of more improvement. But I did like how this match went into mostly with Yuna Mizumori and Mirai. Now, if you guys know this or not, Tam Nakano lost the white belt to her, to Mirai. So I'm sure it's more like for Yuna, who will do anything in her power to make Tam Nakano proud, would show her that she can take someone out like her. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case because Mirai applied a lariat and it was over. And of course, Mega Bane had to carry Yuna Mizumori out of the ring. I don't know exactly the specifics, but yes, that's what exactly happened. Now, our main event, we have Oedo Tai, consisted of Rina, Starlight Kid, and Natsuko Tora taking on DDM's Maika, Mai Sakurai, and Julia. Now, of course, with Oedo Tai, they like to do dirty tricks in their matches. That's always been what they do all the time. But you probably would think that wasn't it. But however, it was Micah, as you know, who's primary motivated to get to the red belt, is the main reason this match won by her when she applied the Michinoku Driver 2 onto Rina, and it was over right from there. However, she has some unsettling business with what's her name, with Ami Suri, because Ami Suri knows how frustrated she's been, who's determined to get to the red belt. And of course, Micah put it out that she is determined to be double champion, and of course, in hopes of getting the IWGP women's title. But we have to wait and see because, as you know, Zuzu is going to be facing Azuki at the in December 2nd for her spot that will be put on the line. So we'll go from there. I think that's it for Stardom in Sayama. I believe let's do the other one, Koriyama. Okay, as we continue with more with Stardom, this is from their Koriyama show on November 26th, ironically the same time as World Tag League that took place. We'll get to that in a while. Now, our first match is again we have Yazuki taking on Hina. So of course, not like I'm not gonna say I kind of figured this one is, but of course Hina has a little bit more experience than Yuzuki in this matter. So I thought it was a pretty good match for this one. I think this one had I saw a little bit of fire with Yuzuki, but unfortunately that was not enough until Hina applied the the Rabuka and picked up the win. Next up, we have Starlight Kid taking on Miyu Amasaki. I did state it. I felt like with Starlight Kid coming back, it felt like she's back with a vengeance, which is kind of interesting to see. But of course, this match was going to end with her winning when she applied the black leg killer and forced her to tap out, and just like that. Next up, we have Hanako taking on Scandinavian Hurricane. Now, you can say that there's going to be a bit difference. Now, Hanako has been impressive applying her strength and her height into her advantage, but when it comes to someone like Scandinavian Hurricane who has a bit of the martial arts status, there's ways for someone who's a big and taller that can be taken down to the ground. And I think that's one of the things about Scandinavian Hurricane that she's able to do. But she applied a cross arm armbar breaker and forced her to tap out with it. So that kind of went out like that. Next up, we have members. What we could say is the members of Stars, more specifically Wingori, Sayaida, and Hanan taking on DDM's Maika and Mai Sakurai. So that kind of goes in a very good in a good way in this one, because as you know, Maika is still primary motivated to get to the red belt. That's her primary motivation. So that's something we could definitely see. Now, one thing is for certain. Now, you can say AJ Rod, doesn't it? Ida and Hanan are the new blood tag team champions. Yes, but that doesn't qualify for both Maika and Mai Sakurai at all. Sakurai has already graduated in her 3 year experience, so basically she does not qualify for it. But it does put out in a good win when, of course, Sakurai applied an elbow drop. But I'm sure Ida, who suffered the loss, will probably want to have another shot at her no matter what. Now, our next match, I think many of you will be interested and invested on this one. We have Mega Bane versus Julia. Now, we know Julia is not afraid of anybody. She is determined to prove why she is who she is. But Megan Bane is someone you don't take lightly. I mean, you got to remember, Tam Nakano knows it was not an easy task to defeat Megan Bane. I'm sure Julia thought possibly Tam would have lost to her, but it didn't. But in this case, they went off, and there were moments where Sakurai was helping Julia to take out, but not putting her hands on Megan, but maybe like giving her a nudge and all that. But unfortunately, this match ended in a 15 time limit draw. But apparently, they continue to continue because, of course, a draw is a frustrating thing because there has to be a winner and all that. But of course, Julia had to go out and talk smack as always to because she hates to lose and she hates draws because her determination is to win. But unfortunately, this is where it gets more interesting. Megan Bain ensured that she couldn't beat her, but it appears that Julia has another challenger for the New Japan Strong Women's title. So she will get the rematch, but the obvious question, what will that be? I wouldn't be surprised if that match will take place on the 29th of December for Dream Queendom. That is something we could expect. Now, our main event, of course, we have Oedo Tai, consistent of Rina, Ruka, and Natsuko Tora taking on God's Eye, consistent of Amisuri, Suri, and of course, um, Mirai. So, you probably can guess that this match, um, there were some good moments on this one, but in the end, like always, Amisuri, who's primary motivated now, is to win the red belt because her opponent she will face is Micah. She picked the win with the like a thunderbolt and just like that. But don't forget, guys, as we speak, we should have that tournament taking place. I don't know when I'll be able to see it until then, but I can't wait to see the results of that. So I think that's pretty much it with the Stardom. Let's move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling with day 6 of World Tag League. Now, there was a bit of a little strange thing going on in the network, but I'm glad that I'm able to do this for everyone because we're still following more on New Japan. So at this point, let's just focus on the B block matches. Our first match, we have Soberano Jr. Atlantis taking on Monster Sauce, Alex Zane, and Lance Archer. Now, there was a bit of a situation in this match, more specifically with Alex Zane. Now, when Lance Archer comes out, he tells Alex Zane, come out. He's like, mm-mm, mm-mm. Now, nobody knows what was going on. He was still wearing his little long vested thingy, and it was more like he was embarrassed over something. I don't know what it was. So basically, Soberano Jr. Atlantis were telling him to take that off, and it revealed what it was. It turns out that he wasn't wearing his he forgot his wrestling gear pants. Yeah, you heard me right. He forgot it. So basically, he had to use red shoes, red shorts for the match. And of course, people make fun of it, including the commentators. I mean, you could tell that this is an embarrassment. Now, the last time I saw something like this, it was with Himeka. I mean, Himeka forgot her wrestling gear as well, and she had to borrow somebody's, and I don't remember who it was, but it worked out pretty well. You can say it did because it was, in fact, um, the um, the taco driver by Alex Zane onto Soberano Jr. that picked up the win. Now, here's the most interesting part. They're currently right now um, in the lead with 6 points, with undefeated. Now, I can say Monster Sauce could be one of the potential winners of the B block reign. So that is something I could definitely see. But we will see how far the other teams go. Now let's move on. As you know, we have Rogue Army consisting of Jack Banza and Bad Luck Fale. They take on the current IWGP Heavyweight Tag Champions Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto as Bishiman. I think this was a bit of a challenge for Bishiman because you look at Bad Luck Fale. He's a big, big, big dude. You know it's going to be a difficult to take him out. And of course, they would have been pulverized by Bad Luck Fale in every way possible. So I think that's something we could expect. Hi, Max. So anyway, the match itself went pretty well, but I figured that the one person who was gonna take the fall for this one is gonna be, of course, um, what's his name, Jack Bonza. When of course they applied the Shoto. So basically, right now, finally, Bishamon gets their first 2 points, while Rogue Army are still winless. Moving on. Now we do our next match. We have just five guys consisting of Yuya Uemura and Taichi. They take on, of course, the very Yuji Nagata and Minoru Suzuki. Now, interesting enough about this match is this: Yuji Nagata was one of Yuya Uemura's masters while he was still in the Tokyo in the New Japan dojo before his excursion. So this is a perfect opportunity for Uemura to, in fact, show him how much he has grown since then. But also, don't forget, Taichi and Minoru Suzuki were once part of the most dangerous faction in New Japan, Suzuki-gun. So you ask yourself now, how will this be implicated? I have to say, I mean, even if someone pins Taichi, it would get an opportunity for the KOPW title. But this is more than that. You got to remember, both sides have, like, let's see, things about in their past that kind of sets it into the tone. But you probably say it would have been amazing. But to me, I was like, this is gonna be a good storytelling, and it did. It was, but of course, Yu Umura was the one who showed Nagata how much he has grown when he applied the deadbolt suplex. 1, 2, 3, and I think Yuji Nagata, who played as the master, must be proud of him how much he has changed. And of course, Taichi and Minoru Suzuki, who went their separate ways. I'm sure Suzuki is proud of him how much he has grown up since then and learned to become a much better wrestler than he should have been for a long time. And of course, they even shook hands. I wouldn't be surprised if they would like to have another match. But right now, here's the interesting part. Even though Yuji Nagata and Minoru Suzuki are currently winless with no wins in this tournament, in this particular one, we do have another team tied with Monster Sauce. Of course, Uemura and Taichi. So Uemura and Taichi are currently tied with 6 points. So this is going to be interesting to see between them. I wouldn't be surprised if we see those two teams um, make the tiebreaker at all. But we'll see. Now, our next match, we do have, of course, our main event. Sadaka Jr. and Yoda Tsuji taking on the current New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team Champions, God Hikuleo and El Fantasmo. I think this match was going to be interesting because, as you know, we have seen how good Hikuleo and LP has been as a tag team. But however, right now they're not in a good state because, as we speak, they're currently lost one match, but could they afford to lose another? Well, that's the interesting part. But however, this match ended with, of course, when Yoda Tsuji applied the Gene Break Blaster onto uh, to Hikuleo and won the match. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they challenged for the strong openweight tag team titles, but anything's a possibility. But we still got a long way to go in this tournament, so we'll see what happens on day 7. But for now, let's just move on with our last and final thing, which is news updates. Welcome to our news update. So let's get started to talk about what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling. Now, as you know, this past weekend we saw the return of CM Punk. Many people draw the questions in their mind. Now, we all know what happened with Punk. He was terminated for a situation that took place after his match at All In. And of course, he was fired because of the situation where he got into a brawl with Jack Perry and all that. Now, everybody's minds probably thought, what is Tony Khan's response to Punk returning to WWE? Well, this is what he had to say. Can't talk about that, nor do I think it's time or the place. But I appreciate you asking, and I'm very excited about All In Wembley Stadium. Not to dodge or duck your question, it's just something I can't legally talk about. Now, of course, many people will want to hear what his thoughts are for that. I'm sure he feels like, either disappointed or not sure what's going to be the outcome of this, because think about it. Punk has been nothing but a problem in the past. Now, people can say, yes, they can surpass all of it, but the obvious thinking question does tell, has anything changed? Well, we just don't know. Only time will tell. Now, if Tony Khan is unable to talk about it, maybe because of legal reasons, maybe there's still some things that are still not resolved in this situation. We just don't know. But hopefully one day we can get the answer to that. Now, as you guys know, recently during a Rampage show, Katsuyori Shibata dropped the ROH Pure title. Now, apparently there was a situation happening. Originally, he was supposed to have a title match at Final Battle. And of course, he right now carried that belt up to 239 days. But apparently, some plans have changed. Apparently, Katsuyori Shibata has been summoned to return to his home country in Japan. It's still no specific reasons why is that. Now, I don't know um, if he's in trouble with New Japan due to the fact um, that New Japan, he as you know, he works as a trainer at the LA dojo. I don't know. No answer has been given on the specifics, but it's still no telling when he'll be back. But he did stated that he enjoyed working with Orange Cassidy and Hook. I mean, I would like to see those three win the trios belts. That would be something fun. I'm sure everybody will like that too. Now, as you know, you remember this former WWE diva or valet named Tammy Sytch, or as we know her as Sunny. As you know, she was arrested on a DUI charge, but no sentence has been made. However, unfortunately, that sentence has been mentioned. She is now going to be serving 17 years in prison, which, wow, that's going to be a long time. So people say she got what she deserves and all this other stuff. So we'll see where that leads us. Now, speaking of AEW, QTMarshall, who has served as a coach and producer and in-ring performer in AEW, has announced that he's departing from the promotion. So this is what he had to say. He tweeted this on Twitter. Thank you, AEW. Thank you, Tony Khan. I have had a privilege of being here since day one. I have written over 750 formats for All Elite Wrestling and always had with pride. As much as I've enjoyed being the VP Manager of Talent Relations, wearing the myriad of hats, the company has changed a lot since 2019 and is heading to a different direction. I feel that is best I do the same, as we only get one chance to go in all in. I have officially resigned from AEW and will have to fulfill my obligations by the end of 2023. Thank you to everyone from the front office to the production trucks to some of the hardest working talent in this sport. Must importantly thank you for those who booed, cheered, took part of this season of my life. So yes, he's officially resigned with the company, and he will be finishing up whatever obligations he had left with the company. Of course, some of you may think, is there a possibility with him going to WWE? Well, we just gotta wait and see. I mean, right now, by the time this video is out, it's already Tuesday, so we'll find out as soon as I get that information. Now, moving on from upcoming events, GCW announced for the Come On Dude event on the 2nd of December, we have Jordan Oliver. He'll be facing the biggest a-hole on the planet, Tony Deppen. Now, this is a match long time coming. We have for Wrestling Revolver taking place starting of the year in 2024. Jon Moxley takes on Gringo Loco. Now, Gringo Loco recently has been talking smack towards Jon Moxley, proving that he thinks he's a total badass. But, well, you're in his hometown. Just be careful. What you wish for. You may not like it. Now, Um, Kitsune Women's Wrestling has announced that they'll be doing their first show in Japan. They announced for their main event that will be taking place. Our main event features Amchan, AI Hausen, and Unagi Sayaka taking on Tai Hamna, AOI, and Yappy. Now, I wouldn't be surprised in this match if we do see AOI pin Unagi to get a shot of the title. That's something we could possibly see, or Tai Hamna, because I know Tai Hamna was in that three-way match where she lost to Unagi alongside with Dark Sheik. So we will see where that leads us from here on out for this. So I'll keep more updates on what's been going on in this promotion. As of for right now, I think we're done with everything else, so let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have Tuesday Wrestling featuring New Japan Pro Wrestling with day 7 of World Tag League. So we'll see how far we progress with the A block. But also, we do possibly have NWA Power, and we cannot forget NXT. So I can't wait to see it. Now, I have been debating whether I should be doing other reviews because I'm behind All Japan Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah. But we will see where this leads us. So for now, we'll just stick what we have and move forward from here on out. Until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.